Guys, we've seen pictures of the planet Earth from space, okay? So we know two things about that. One, it's not flat. We have freaking pictures, so let's just stop that, okay? Two, have you seen any borders? No, when you look down at Earth from space, it's just a rock. Hello, Anderson Nation. This is your host of Stoicism for a Better Life, Anderson Silver, coming at you from a different angle, as you can see. As you know, season 4 has been a bit of an experiment. I'm doing whatever this is, trying to do the video thing to help connect with you guys. I've been flip-flopping back and forth on what I want to do, and my, unfortunately, inspiration comes from the conflict that's happening in Ukraine. Invasion, attack, war, whatever you want to call it. It's wrong, it's bad, and that's what's inspiring this, and we will use some words from... Now, if Marcus Aurelius was able to restrain his ambitions while he was the head of the most advanced and biggest force, fighting force in the world at that time, well, he must have some wise words, I would imagine. But first, a word on cosmopolitanism. The quote will drive this idea as well, but basically the message of this podcast episode will be, guys, we've seen pictures of the planet Earth from space, okay? So we know two things about that. One, it's not flat. We have freaking pictures, so let's just stop that, okay? Two, have you seen any borders? No, when you look down at Earth from space, it's just a rock. It's just a freaking rock. If you've read your user's manual, you'll recall there's a picture even I threw on there to show this little tiny blue rock floating in space with this tiny atmosphere that's protecting us from the vacuum and darkness of space. Yet here we are on this tiny rock floating through space. We don't know where we are in the cosmos. We're just flying through at the speed of whatever. And yet we decide to bicker and fight over it. It reminds me of watching my kids. You know, I have 2 teenagers, as you know, and they'll fight over the most nonsensical thing. And I can see it's just an outlet for their emotions and their hormones. But we'll hash it out and we'll deal with it. If only we could do some more of that. I feel like a lot of these conflicts would kind of disappear, but hey, maybe I'm oversimplifying things. Maybe I'm just simple-minded. Or maybe, just maybe, we've tapped into something that's made sense for thousands of years. I don't know. But as always, I encourage you to choose your own answers. For me, it's kind of obvious that this life is pointless. Like, what the hell am I going to do? What am I going to leave behind? What kind of impact can I have? People don't even remember the good things I did last week. They're asking for more good things this week. So I don't put any importance on my life or what I'm going to accomplish. And if I'm not going to amount to anything, well, how can we collectively amount to anything as a species? You know, we can think about historical ruins going back 3, 4, 5,000 years, 10,000, whatever. It's pretty interesting to see things travel through time, like books and structure. So as a species, we're able to send information across thousands of years. But even then, what's going to happen when our species is dead? And don't kid yourself, we will be dead. Take a look around. What happens when you fast forward the time scale 100 million bajillion years? Like, we won't be around. We won't even know if this dimension will be around. None of this matters. And yet we're bickering over the little bit that we happen to have here. How egotistical, how maniacal is that, guys? Think about this. So if you're listening to my podcast, if you're following Stoicism, I am encouraging you to spread this thought of no borders continuously, wherever you can, whether it's between Canada and the States, whether it's across the world. It's one thing to have different cultures, that's beautiful, but it's another thing to draw a line in the sand and say, no, people on this side, they're cool with me. People on the other side, not cool. They will live in poverty. Those guys just on the other side of that line will live in destitute. Those guys on the other side of that line are bad somehow. Do you hear how crazy this sounds? So let's stop this. If you listen to my podcast, please spread the word. Spread the word that we're all one and the same. It does not matter what conflict. This is not specific to Ukraine or Syria or Southeast Asia or everywhere where people are currently being killed. Focus on what's happening right here, right now, and do something about it. And you see, I'm emotional about this too, but I'm trying to control and corral my emotions to make some type of rational discourse out of this. What good is it to pick up a stick and hit somebody else over the head or a nuclear weapon and chuck it at them across the globe? Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. So, my fellow cosmopolitans, we cannot stop this war. We cannot change people who hate. However, we can help guide people who are misinformed back towards peace, tranquility, and cooperation through a rational discourse about the present moment. Now, back to the episode at hand. We all remember the famous Marcus Aurelius quote, "My city and country as Antoninus is Rome. My city and country as a man, the whole world." That's it. Simple. Simple quote. Even the guy who had all the Roman legions, who had the best technology, the most advanced war machines, the largest standing army, still refused to go into Germania and conquer. Now, if you didn't know this, Marcus Aurelius spent his entire reign dealing with famine, plagues, natural disasters, volcanoes, I think there was earthquakes and floods, whatever. And the other big problem was the Germanic tribes who kept attacking from the north. Here's the interesting thing. When Caesar went into Gaul to conquer the territories, his force, his standing force that he went in with, was minuscule compared to what Marcus Aurelius had under his command. Yet, generally speaking, Marcus Aurelius did not want to push his borders up into Germania. He was just in defensive positions. Even back then, he was trying to minimize the amount of chaos, death, and destruction he would be responsible for as the head of the Roman Empire. So, imagine having all the nukes in the world with no one to oppose you. You literally could go in and wipe anybody you wanted to, yet you chose not to because it's the right thing to do. Today it's the opposite. We have a bunch of dingbats and low IQ individuals in power who also happen to have low emotional IQs, and they're holding a bunch of nuclear weapons to say, hey, if you hit me, I'll hit back. So mutually assured destruction. That is such a decrepit, disgusting thing to say. Can you imagine? Say, hey, you and I, we're going to get along, because if we don't, we will both die. That's what mutually assured destruction is. This is the world we live in. This is why this episode is a little bit more emotional. I am calling out to you guys to spread the word of justice, rationality. We are all citizens of the world, like Marcus Aurelius was, and let's keep pushing his agenda, because we can. Stoicism for a better life stands for equality and justice. Justice for all. Justice for all, not our group. Recall from your user's manual, any dialogue that sets a we versus them is a dangerous, slippery slope where it might end up being we hate them. And we hate them makes no logical sense. It goes against our natural instincts. It is a makeup of our consternation and our angst within that gets externalized into hate and anger. This might sound familiar because you might have seen this in high school. High school emotions are still running the world. It'll take people like you and me who are committed to a rational mind to make any difference for our kids. So I do my part, and I ask you, if you truly believe in fairness and equality and justice for all, not just your group, but literally for all, if you're willing to sacrifice some of your luxuries and comfort to help others who are missing basic necessities and dying because of them, you are an agent for positive change like I am. You are trying to actually make the world better for everybody, not yourself. Stoicism for a better life, you guys. Let's keep trying to make the world better through rational thought. I'm with you on this. We can do it.